Are the Trudeau Liberals intentionally fighting with the Trump administration on NAFTA while ignoring Canadian job losses to Mexico? Is Canada being authentic in our efforts to secure a new deal with our best friend, ally, and trading partner, or does Justin Trudeau's personal contempt for Donald Trump mean we will be shifting our focus to free trade with China? And what, if any, role does the inclusion of an Indigenous chapter from Canada have on the thus far stalled negotiations? It is now the fifth round of renegotiation of the North American Free Trade Agreement, and negotiators from all sides left Mexico City this week just as far away from striking a new deal as they've ever been. Now you might be thinking, and surely most of Canada's elites are saying it, that this is President Trump's fault. He's the protectionist. He's Mr. Tariff after all. But is that really the case? Is it the Trump administration that is being unreasonable, protectionist, and unfair to poor old Mexico? Look, don't take it from us. Let's look at what's being reported. Starting with the auto industry. Despite losing thousands of jobs in the car and car parts manufacturing sector due to General Motors and Chrysler outsourcing those jobs to Mexico, Canadian officials have not seemed willing to negotiate, instead preferring to lecture our American friends. According to the Canadian press, quote, Canadian negotiators intend to provide a briefing to their American peers on how their auto proposals would devastate their own domestic industry. Multiple sources say that at the current round, Canada will not deliver a counter-proposal, but a presentation, unquote. Oh, I can picture it now. Canadian Trade Minister Chrystia Freeland giving a lecture to billionaire U.S. Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross on how hurt we will be from their auto proposal. Look, here's an idea. How about negotiating, countering, maybe teaming up with the U.S. to take back some of these jobs we've lost to Mexico? I don't know. Freeland would later whine about extreme U.S. proposals, telling CBC, quote, there are some areas where some extreme proposals have been put forward, and these are proposals that we simply cannot agree to, unquote. But just for a minute, let's think of this from an American perspective. Isn't the inclusion of an Indigenous chapter in NAFTA for the first time ever seen as a bit extreme from their perspective? Here's what Freeland told reporters. Quote, Canada tabled our proposed Indigenous chapter. That's a first for Canada. So what exactly that Indigenous chapter looks like, we aren't really sure yet. But if it's even close to the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of the Indigenous, well, that's something our federal government is poised to adopt here at home. And it's something the United States would likely find as pretty extreme, as it basically cedes a veto to Indigenous peoples over land use. But here's where the concern really begins to amplify. If NAFTA does appear to be stalled beyond hope, and right now we're at that point, the Trudeau Liberals have a backup plan: to run to their favorite basic dictatorship, China, for a free trade deal. Talk about extreme. John Ivison of the National Post reports diplomatic sources have told him that Trudeau himself will head to Beijing in December to kick off negotiations. Not only are Canadians overwhelmingly opposed to a free trade deal with China, as an April poll from Nanos for the Globe and Mail found, but as Global News' Tasha Karidan writes, Canadians should oppose such a deal. Quote, not because such a deal would damage our economy or our trading relationship with the U.S., but rather because it threatens something even more precious, our democracy, unquote. And then she goes on to list a litany of issues, including executions of political dissidents and minorities, the lack of press freedoms in China, and so on. As we've argued before, NAFTA presents a tremendous opportunity for Canada to grow closer to our American friends and to work together to bring jobs back from Mexico. But the liberal agenda seems to be pushing the U.S. away in lieu of courting China. If so, this is extremely reckless and could spell grave trouble for our economy and Canadian sovereignty. For The Rebel.Media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks a lot for watching. If you want to support The Rebel, there's no better way than to sign up for premium content. Check it out, therebel.media/shows. We've got some brand new stuff, and we've got even more planned in the future.